Carthage must be destroyed. I'm going to do an unboxing today with these Wargames Atlantic boxers. These are some fairly new models for their Imperial Conquest line, as you can see here. Now, they put here Battles in the Ages of Empires, 1815 and 1914. I don't think that means these boxers here. It's they're covering the Imperial Conquest. These are colonial battles, basically the 19th century up into the early 20th century. So in today's case, we're going to be looking at these boxers. I'm excited that there are plastic options now for some colonial Chinese. I had only seen metal options, but this company now, Wargames Atlantic, they came out and grew really quickly if you know about them, and they have released a whole bunch of different stuff. But let's just take a quick look at the outside of the box and the different things here. The box back just has different models, just like the front, and they have a little bit of history about the boxers here. They're called the Yihequan in Chinese, as you see on the box back there. I won't get into the history, you can look it up yourself. They talk about, in the history here, I noticed that they talk about the Tiger Man, which is a very iconic image from that era. Basically, one of the Chinese warriors dressed up like a tiger, and they have their form here, which we'll look at the sprue. And it also has the option not just to make these boxers, but also have these. They also have these Gansu Braves here, and I think that's these are these Gansu Braves. They have the blue turbans on in this set here, and historically, I'll just talk as I open this here. Historically, they were pretty modernized for what China could field at the time. They were from the province of Gansu, and they came over, and eventually I think all of China went to war with all the colonials there, but originally it was just the boxers and the Gansu, and then they all kind of warred against them. But let's see what Wargames Atlantic has put in here. So this box is supposed to come with 30 multi-part hard plastic 28mm figures. By the looks of it, it looks like I have 6 sprues here. Let's put it off the middle of the camera. So 6 sprues, and it's going to be all basically, imitates of each sprue. So I don't have to show you all the sprues. I do have to, of course, make sure that I've got one, just double check here. I've got all 6. I do. So each of these sprues are going to be identical, and we're just going to look at the different things that we can put together here and make. Let's look first at, this sprue here has everything kind of spread out differently. I'm going to look at the heads first because they look like they're the most organized here. Alright, so 2021 Wargames Atlantic here, and here you can see all the different kind of heads. On the left side here, we've got more of, I'm going to call it the Qing Dynasty hat for a lack of better words, kind of like that cap with a little knob on the top. There's also another variant of Chinese hat in there. I don't know the specific names, but of course they've got the straw hats in there, 2 there, and they got the tiger head. You can do that as well. And on the right side here, we get more of the, this is the Qing Dynasty Q, right? They would shave the front of their heads, as you can see there, and they grow these ponytails out. That was the, I think that was the, there's a Qing Dynasty Manchurian method of wearing the headpiece. So, you know, if you were under the Qing Dynasty and you were male, you would wear in the Manchu fashion the style like this. So they've done that where they got the hair shaved at the front with a long braid in the back. They also have these Muslim warriors, these Gansu warriors I told you guys about, that you can put in here optionally with the turbans, and those are historically correct. They had these Gansu Braves, these Ganjun as they're called, come in, and they fought against the colonial forces. So those heads look appropriate for the most part for what they're trying to represent here. I'm not too sure on how big these the hats are supposed to be, but Wargames Atlantic has a good, representation of them there. The cues, the braids themselves, they're all very standard. They just look like they're folded over each other. I think that's the best way they can put the braids together. Here they have what looks like a wicker kind of shield, and you see some of that in the artwork as well. There's a very famous one out there, and this, I think this is a Peter Dennis piece of art here, but here he's got one with kind of like a, I'm going to call it a dragon or a demon motif on it. I've also seen other ones with Chinese characters, but yeah, they have these kind of wicker shields that they brought in, and you get 1 per sprue here, so you can make at least 6 guys like that. here's what I wanted to really look at, the Chinese Kung Fu weapons. So here you've got a trident. You've got a spear with a tassel. I think painting that red will make it very Chinese. It's like a very, I'm going to call it a stereotypical weapon. It even has the bamboo sections there. So this is a bamboo spear, right? I'm assuming. Again, they have different arms here. There's single arms here. We'll look at the arms more. And I'm not really too concerned with the arms. I'm going to say something about the arms afterwards that I noticed. But I really wanted to just look at the options for the spears. You get some off arms here. Is that one? Yeah, this one here is an arm meant to hold a spear, as are these, I imagine. They have a single pistol here. I'm not sure on the make of this pistol, if it's a European pistol taken off of a colonial, or if it was a specific pistol that the Chinese had access to. You got a butcher knife. It's yes, I think a lot of those boxers would just kind of grab whatever's available. You got some more swords here. Again, I'm not sure on the terminology on these kinds of swords. I don't know if I'll use those. I kind of like the spears and these I'm gonna call this a ta tao. It's just it's a big sword basically, and you can see that's what it is. It's a big knife. So they have that in there, and you got it's a kung fu weapon. They use these for a while. Like you even see representations in World War II of soldiers using these big guns. Keep looking at the weapons. Look at the bodies. After the one thing that I'm a little disappointed in with this kit, there's only 2 guns. They've kind of taken all the forces that existed in this conflict and shoved them on one sprue. Now, there's different forces at work here. I'll talk about the Chinese Imperial forces. First, you have the Gansu Braves, which are, they're Muslim warriors from the province of Gansu that come over, and they're fairly modernized, meaning they have gunpowder and fairly decent weapons from what I've read. So that's what I think these guns are supposed to represent. But because they only put 2 per sprue, you can only make, 12 warriors out of this? Gunmen, which are okay if you want to do, just one little light unit of them. But I wish they kind of put more guns on there, just in case, because they put multiple, they put more turbines on there than guns. So I think it would have been better if they had more gun options on there. The other thing I want to point out is that the boxers had all sorts of, there's a big mash of boxers involved, and they're in different dress, and I think they represented the boxers quite well here. But one thing that, and maybe they'll make models for it later, is they don't put the Qing Dynasty forces specific to me. Like they also mesh it in here. Like the Qing Dynasty might be wearing this kind of hat, just a regular soldier, or maybe a straw hat or something like that. The bodies, and we'll look at those there soon. I'll talk about that soon. The bodies here, I don't think accurately kind of mesh what they could have specified. So I think with the boxers here, they just kind of made a big mesh of different soldier types and called them boxers. But I think it might have been better if they would have, separated them. And that's what I personally think. I don't know how far they plan to go into this particular conflict. Maybe they just only want to make boxers. But you could certainly design these guys to be a mix of boxers, but you could also be like, hey, I just want the Gansu Braves. Unfortunately, you won't have such modern equipment with them because you only have, 2 guns and a bunch of other kung fu weapons. Let's keep looking at this here. This is definitely a must-have. This type of halberd, I always see it in the Chinese dramas and representation for many years. So I think that's fairly accurate, especially for that period. They were still using those types of Chinese halberds. You've got, again, a kung fu, I'm going to call it kung fu swords. I don't know the names in Chinese of all these things. Another type of spear, again, red tassel. And then you've just got a basic cutting sword here. So getting back to the bodies, and we'll look at that now, is you have a certain kind of different dress between like commoner and then soldier, right? They have, and China had a lot of flamboyant dresses too, from what I read on descriptions. Some of their army is almost in a sense medieval standing still in a way. Like they still had like soldiers dressing up in definitely not colonial style forces. Like some guys would still be armed with all sorts of gear and stuff, but the army was separate from just regular peasants as well. One thing that they didn't put on the box, and I'm going to do, is that a lot of soldiers had a circle and a badge on it representing rank or what they were. A lot of them often just said foot soldier, and they don't represent that here. But I'm gonna do that and do mostly blue, I think, for these guys, because I want to build a bunch of them to be more representative of these lads here, and maybe a mix of Imperial forces. And I've seen some good examples online. There's also some excellent Chinese TV dramas that I've watched where they, I think, have a fairly accurate depiction of what the later Qing dynasty would have been wearing in the army and the different regiments and stuff like that. So overall, the kit looks good if you want to have kind of like a really mixed force, which I think is good if you're just doing boxers and not going to differentiate the forces out there. I think it lacks in gunpowder weapons. I mean, a lot of them didn't have guns, but the Gansu definitely did. It's reported they were the toughest fighters that they came across in the colonial era. I do like the swords that they've put in here, especially these Kung Fu style swords and the spears. The spears are, I think, a must. Other than that, yeah, I mean, if they do have the Tiger Warrior there. I'll definitely make him because he comes up in a few historical senses. I've seen versions where he's got a halberd or a shield. On the box, they've basically taken just another uniform and painted it with tiger stripes. I think that's accurate enough because I think that's basically what it would have been. Yeah, other than that, let's give you guys more of a look of the different clothing there. They have these kind of little these drapes over top of the pants, which are more of the full uniform there, versus this guy here, which I think is just more of a peasant, more wrapped up, or maybe just one of the just one of the kung fu guys, or he could just be, you know, one of the civilians angry at the foreigners and he's trying to chase them out, right? So, and again, this is more, I think, close to the uniform style of the soldiers, whereas this guy beside here is more like regular manner with the wraps there. Maybe you can call him a kung fu guy, right? A lot of the people on the forces of the boxers were martial artists, and a lot of them believed they could stop bullets by training kung fu and stuff. Again, here, this guy might pass as a regular soldier, just for the way his tunic is set up there. But yeah, that's my look at this unboxing here. I think overall it looks like a cool kit. Again, I wish there was more guns on these kits here to make more firearm soldiers. But if they're just going for mixed forces of boxers and not really focusing on the Gansu or the Imperial forces of the Qing dynasty themselves, and I think it works out fine. So I'll eventually put some of these guys together and paint them up. But yeah, I just wanted to share with y'all what's in that kit there. So that's it for today. My Kickstarter is still running if you guys want to check that out. The Heraldic Series number 2. And there's a link in another video for that, you can find it. Other than that, if you want to see some more videos, more unboxings, more stuff from me, check it out and subscribe to this channel. We will see you on the next video. So have a good one. Bye now.